Mitchell, your resolution metrics are way off normal. The coffee tastes like motor oil mixed with regret, but it's perfect for dealing with alien complaints at 6 a.m. I don't look up from my terminal as Crick skitters over on 8 spider legs, clutching today's disaster list. Morning to you too, boss. What's the damage? 63 complaints yesterday. Station average is 12. His primary eyes narrow while the secondary ones scan my holographic workspace. Administration is asking questions, Mitchell. Sharp questions. Right, so this is it. My last chance to prove that a washed-out Earth retail manager belongs on Nexus Station. After the Birmingham store closure, I'd sworn I was done with complaints forever. Funny how the universe has other plans. What we got first? The service chime plays a discordant note that makes my teeth ache, and Zara materializes. 6 feet of angry gas being flickering between translucent blue and agitated orange, her form contained in a crystalline exoskeleton that hums with raw fury. I demand immediate resolution! Her voice sounds like wind chimes in a hurricane. Catastrophic contamination. 3 previous complaints, all escalated to management, all unresolved. Classic. Behind her, I catch Cricks making frantic notes, documenting my inevitable failure. Right then, Zara, walk me through it. My emotional resonance crystals are ruined. Orange flares brighter in her gaseous form. Pure sadness and existential dread when purchased. Now they're contaminated with. She shudders, rattling her containment unit. Hope and determination. Something the sensors identify as bloody-minded stubbornness. The memory hits me. Mrs. Chen, 3 years ago, screaming about her luxury soap smelling too clean. Took me an hour to realize she was actually furious about her daughter moving away. Not the bloody soap. When did you first notice the contamination? 6 cycles ago, when I moved cargo to Storage Bay 12. Storage Bay 12, right next to human residential. I grabbed my repair kit, duct tape, salvaged filter, and the scanner I borrowed from maintenance. 20 minutes later, I've found the hairline crack, letting human emotional residue seep into her storage area. A few strips of tape, some creative rewiring, contamination stopped. But my ruined crystals. Zara's form shifts to worried yellow-green. This is the moment. Make or break. I pull up the Galactic Trade database. Fingers crossed, this gamble pays off. See, you've got it backwards. These aren't contaminated. They're premium hope-infused crystals. 100% unique. The screen loads. Thank every deity in the galaxy. Standard despair crystals? 40 credits per gram. But specialty hybrid emotional crystals? This optimistic sadness blend you've got? 80 credits minimum on the luxury market. Crix's legs freeze mid-click. Hope infused. Luxury emotional resonance? Zara's colors shift through patterns I can't identify. Think about it. Pure despair is just depressing, but despair with a hint of hope? That's sophisticated sadness. You're not selling basic misery anymore, you're selling the full emotional experience. By the time she leaves, Zara's placed bulk orders for 6 more premium hope-touched sadness shipments with a standing contract for precise human optimism contamination. Crick stares at me with all 8 eyes. How did you? Reality stutters. The air fractures, time hiccups, and Vale is here. A tall, ethereal being whose edges keep shifting between was, is, and will be. I need to unhappen a purchase, he announces, his voice echoing from 3 different temporal positions. Last Tuesday, next Tuesday, both Tuesdays. Crix's panic clicking intensifies. Vale's file shows 17 attempted returns this week, each creating temporal paradoxes that are driving our chronometer systems insane. Temporal causality loop. I say, projecting more confidence than I feel. What exactly did you buy? Quantum probability calculator. But purchasing it made a timeline where I needed it, which made a timeline where I owned it, which made a timeline where I never needed it, which built a paradox. Standard temporal return then? I produce Form 27B from my desk. Learn to keep them handy after the 3rd impossible complaint this month. Just need you to fill this out in triplicate. Vale's flickering intensifies. But I already filled it out next week. Right. But you need copies for all three timelines. One where you made the purchase, one where you didn't, and one where you're filling out the form right now. Complete nonsense, but I've learned that bureaucracy is a universal constant. Aliens might not understand human logic, but they all understand paperwork. I stamp the forms with my homemade temporal exception seal. 10 minutes later, the paradox resolves itself. Vale's temporal flickering stabilizes as I hand him a receipt that's already faded like it's decades old. Your refund was processed yesterday, I announce. How did you know that would work? Bureaucracy transcends space-time. The universe might not understand causality, but it definitely understands filing systems. As Vale fades back to his proper timeline, the service chime plays a complex harmonic that makes the air shimmer. 12 identical beings materialize, their pale blue skin showing subtle circuitry patterns, large black eyes blinking in perfect synchronization. We require assistance, they say in unison. We are experiencing individual thought. The lead being wears a speaker's badge. I'm Nex. We are the collective. We have never. I have never. Their eyes widen in horror. I said I. Behind them, the others shudder in sympathetic panic. One examines their hands as if seeing them for the first time. Another looks around the station with what appears to be personal curiosity. This isn't about their datapad purchase. This is about fear of change, like when Mrs. Williams panicked about her first smartphone because it meant admitting she wasn't the same person anymore. Right then, I say, standing up. Individual decision support therapy. Next, tell me about this datapad, not what the collective thinks, but what you think. I thought it was beautiful. Next struggles with the pronoun. The information flows reminded me of home, but different. Like seeing home through new eyes. The others stare in fascination rather than horror. That's brilliant! How did that make you feel? Excited, nervous, like discovering something new about myself. Nex's voice grows stronger. I've never felt that before. And that's not bad, is it? You're not losing your connection, you're adding to it. Every individual thought is something new you can bring back to enrich the whole collective. By the time they leave, all 12 are chattering excitedly about individual experiences they want to try not to abandon their shared consciousness, but to expand it. Crix's legs have stopped clicking entirely. How do you do it? 3 impossible problems, 3 perfect solutions. I lean back, taking another sip of terrible coffee. The station's getting busier, word spreading. Zara's back with associates interested in premium emotional crystals. Vale's returned with a temporal physicist colleague. The entire collective brought their extended family. At other service desks, my colleagues look overwhelmed. It's not about the problems, I tell Crix. It's about the people. Zara wasn't angry about contaminated crystals. She was terrified of disappointing her clients. Vale wasn't stuck in a time loop. He was overwhelmed by a choice he couldn't unmake. The collective wasn't panicking about individual thought. They were scared of losing each other. But how do you know? The memory surfaces sharp and clear. Mrs. Chen again, that day in Birmingham. After an hour of listening to her scream about soap, I'd asked the right question. What's wrong? Turned out her daughter had just moved to Australia. We'd sat in the break room for 2 hours, drinking tea and looking at photos. She never returned the soap. Helping people isn't about products, I say. It's about caring. Everything else is just paperwork. Crix produces an official document, clicking over on his 8 legs. By the authority vested in me by Nexus Station administration, I promote you to Senior Interspecies Relations Specialist. I look at the certificate, then back at him. Does it come with better coffee? The air shimmers with temporal distortion, and Vale appears, perfectly stable, carrying a steaming cup that smells like actual Earth coffee. Your morning coffee, he announces, setting it on my desk. Same time tomorrow, and yesterday, and every day since last week. I take a sip. Perfect, rich, smooth, just the right amount of cream. How did you? Temporal causality loop. I bring you coffee at 8:47 a.m. because I bring you coffee at 8:47 a.m. The universe has accepted this as constant. As I lock up my desk for the night, I reflect that some jobs are the same no matter what galaxy you're in. People, human, alien or otherwise, just want to be heard, understood, and helped. My promotion certificate, rustles in the artificial breeze, Senior Interspecies Relations Specialist. Definitely writing home about this one. But first, I'm going to enjoy this perfect cup of coffee that somehow arrives before I even get to work. Sometimes the best help comes from the customers themselves. The universe, I've learned, has a sense of humor, and occasionally, it has excellent timing too.